This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. About 100 more people have been arrested in Washington, D.C. as part of the ongoing Democracy Spring protests against political corruption and big money in politics. Wednesday marked the third consecutive day of mass arrests at the U.S. Capitol after 85 people were arrested Tuesday and more than 400 were arrested on Monday. About 36,000 Verizon workers have gone on strike along the East Coast from Massachusetts to Virginia, marking one of the biggest U.S. strikes in years. Verizon has sought to cut pensions and ease the outsourcing of work. In New York City, Verizon worker Gail Rogers spoke out.
We're fighting union busting. We're trying to keep the company from taking back things that we've rightfully gained through previous contracts that we fought for that should be ours. You know, medical benefits, the right to work. We also have issues with them trying to move our work overseas, which we can't have that. This is America. Work needs to stay in America for Americans.
Both Democratic presidential candidates joined Verizon workers on the picket lines in New York City. Speaking in his home borough of Brooklyn, Sanders criticized Verizon.
Not a question of excited. It's a question of workers standing up for justice, taking on a large, greedy corporation who wants to outsource good-paying jobs, who wants to take away health care benefits from its workers, but somehow they do have enough money to pay their CEO $20 million a year. And with this union and its workers are standing up for his justice, and I stand with him today.
On Wednesday evening, Bernie Sanders drew one of his largest crowds to date in New York City's Washington Square Park. His campaign put the crowd at 27,000 people. The entire front section appeared to be striking Verizon workers. Meanwhile, Verizon's CEO hit back at Sanders in a blog post, calling the senator's views contemptible. Hillary Clinton's critics have pointed out the Clinton campaign has received tens of thousands of dollars from Verizon executives and lobbyists. Verizon paid Clinton $225,000 for a 2013 speech. On Wednesday, Senator Sanders won the endorsement of the New York City Transit Workers Union, while Clinton was backed by an electrical workers union. Activists with the Occupied Wall Street Journal, an independent newspaper, teamed up to produce a newspaper in support of Sanders, headlined "The Battle of New York." Sanders and Clinton square off in a debate at the Brooklyn Navy Yard tonight, 5 days before the New York primary. Clashes erupted between Donald Trump supporters and protesters outside the Republican frontrunners' rally in Pittsburgh Wednesday night. Hundreds of anti-racist demonstrators gathered to chant, "Racist bigots have got to go." Inside, Trump said both the Republican and Democratic systems for choosing candidates are rigged.
Whether you like Bernie Sanders or not, I happen to think he's terrible, but that's okay. But whether you like him or not, whether you like him or not, you turn on television every week, Bernie Sanders wins, Bernie Sanders wins. Next week, Bernie Sanders wins. He wins every weekend. And then you listen to the pundits, but he can't win. I say, wait a minute, he's won every week for the last 7 weeks, right? But he can't win. And you say, what's going on? Then I say, oh, it's a rigged system.
Trump and his fellow Republican candidates are expected to attend a gala in Manhattan tonight, with hundreds expected to protest Trump outside. Bank regulators have warned five of the top 8 largest U.S. banks are too big to fail, meaning taxpayers would need to bail them out again in the event of another financial collapse. The Federal Reserve and FDIC said J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, State Street, and Bank of New York all lack credible plans to enter bankruptcy in the event of a financial crisis. The warnings echo calls by Bernie Sanders, who wants to break up the big banks, a plan criticized by his rival, Hillary Clinton. The biggest banks are even bigger now than before the 2008 meltdown. Officials at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say they've confirmed the link between the Zika virus and microcephaly, a condition that can cause infected mothers to give birth to babies with abnormally small heads. CDC Director Thomas Frieden said there's, quote, no longer any doubt that Zika causes the birth defect. This comes after officials said the mosquitoes that spread Zika are now in 30 U.S. states. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said Wednesday Congress has not done enough to address the virus.
You may be familiar with the expression of being a day late and a dollar short. In this case, Congress is 2 months late and $1.9 billion short in providing the assistance that our public health professionals say that they need to make sure that they respond appropriately to this situation. The bill that Congress passed yesterday doesn't include any funding. It certainly doesn't, so that's not going to do anything to help local communities across the country that carry this virus or fight the mosquitoes that carry this virus.
The world's largest private sector coal company has filed for bankruptcy. Peabody Energy is at least the 5th major coal company to seek bankruptcy amidst a decline in coal. The environmental group 350.org declared the move a, quote, harbinger of the end of the fossil fuel era. Former Florida Senator Bob Graham says he received a call from the White House this week over the 28 secret pages of a report on the 9/11 terror attacks. Graham has campaigned for years to have the documents declassified, saying they contain key details about Saudi Arabia's role in the attacks. Graham told the Tampa Bay Times a presidential advisor informed him the declassification review of the documents would soon be completed. The call came on Sunday's 60 Minutes episode on the 28 pages. Graham spoke to host Steve Kroft.
You believe that support came from Saudi Arabia?
Substantially.
And when we say the Saudis, you mean the government, rich people in the country, charities?
All of the above.
In Chicago, a task force appointed by Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel has found evidence of rampant racism within the Chicago Police Department. The report finds the police department's own data, quote, gives validity to the widely held belief the police have no regard for the sanctity of life when it comes to people of color, unquote. Despite equal proportions of Black, white, and Latino residents in Chicago, 74% of the more than 400 people shot by Chicago police between 2008 and 2015 were Black. Black people also made up 72% of people stopped on the street but not arrested in the summer of 2014, and 3 out of 4 people on whom Chicago police tried to use tasers between 2012 and 2015. The report comes as Mayor Emanuel faces calls to resign over a possible cover-up of the police killing of Laquan McDonald, the teen shot 16 times in 2014. In Panama, authorities have raided the offices of the Mossack Fonseca law firm at the center of the Panama Papers scandal. A massive data leak revealed the firm set up a global network of shell companies for heads of state and other elites to store money offshore to avoid taxes and oversight. Authorities seized 100 computer servers during a 27-hour raid. Protesters rallied outside the firm to demand a thorough investigation.
We believe it's important for the Attorney General to actively investigate this act of corruption, this embarrassment which was revealed internationally and which Panama looks very bad at the moment.
Newly released records reveal how FBI hackers sought to break encryption used by animal rights activists by secretly installing software on the activists' computers. While it happened more than a decade ago, the effort has just come to light through documents provided to the New York Times by Freedom of Information activist Ryan Shapiro. 6 activists, including past Democracy Now! Guest Andy Stepanian, were ultimately convicted of conspiracy to violate the Animal Enterprise Protection Act in the case. Journalist Matthew Keyes has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in a hacking case that's drawn protests from civil liberties groups. Keyes was convicted in October of giving the hacker group Anonymous the username and password of his former employer, the Tribune Company. A hacker then used the credentials to alter the online headline on a Los Angeles Times story from "Pressure Builds in House to Pass Tax Cut Package" to "Pressure Builds in House to Elect Chippy 37, a reference to another hacking group. The change lasted about 40 minutes. Keyes had faced up to 25 years in prison. After Keyes' sentencing Wednesday, NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden was among those to tweet his support, writing, quote, 2 years for a web defacement lasting 40 minutes. Supporters say Keyes' plight shows the need to reform the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, the sweeping decades-old law also used to charge activist Aaron Swartz. Aaron committed suicide in 2013 while facing up to 35 years in prison for downloading millions of academic articles. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.